You think you choose who you want to be, but in truth, you were programmed. You open the mirror like someone opens a screen. You get dressed, compare yourself, judge yourself as if you were in a display window. But who taught you to look at yourself like that? They told you freedom is choosing between 1,000 versions of yourself. But all those versions come from outside. You call it personal taste what was already selected for you by advertising. And the worst part? You defend it. The spectacle is not a collection of images. It is a social relation between people that is mediated by images. You no longer relate to people, you relate to the images they project. And you think that's normal. But what is normal in a sick society? You believe you're in control, but everything you do, want, or dream of has already been decided by a bigger machine. You just follow the role that the system assigned to you. And you do it smiling, taking selfies, posting motivational quotes. The French thinker, Guy Debord, wrote that the spectacle presents itself as society itself. You see it everywhere. You breathe it, and you call it reality. The spectacle doesn't want you to think. It wants you to look, watch, desire, buy, compare, repeat. It wants you to confuse appearance with essence. Debord also said, the spectacle is capital accumulated to the point that it becomes images. Your worth isn't in who you are. It's in the image you can project. If you don't project, you disappear. If you don't perform, you become no one. So you adapt, you buy, copy, shape yourself. You call it self-expression, but it's just desperation to be seen. Seen by eyes that are also blind. The lie became the norm. And you blame yourself for not feeling enough inside a game designed for you to lose. You don't look at yourself as a human being anymore. You evaluate yourself like a product. Am I attractive enough? Do I look successful? Does my body deserve likes? That's the metric now. Your face has become packaging. Your life, a catalog. As Debord described it, this system turns people into objects, into pure spectacle. The spectacle is capital accumulated to the point that it becomes images. Every detail of your body was turned into a storefront. Every emotional weakness, a business opportunity. You don't take care of yourself because you love yourself. You take care of yourself because you're afraid of not being chosen. It's not health. It's panic disguised as wellness. You sell yourself all the time, and you think it's beautiful. This isn't self-love, it's self-exploitation. They taught you that loving yourself means performing 24/7. Be your best version, they say. But which version? The one that fits in? The one that doesn't disturb? Debord warned us of this trap. The more he contemplates, the less he lives. You're not living, you're observing yourself. As if your life were a show, and your value came from applause. While you fake happiness, life slips away. While you fake strength, your chest gets heavier. While you scream, I love myself, deep down you're terrified of not being loved at all. Modern self-esteem is based on fear. Fear of gaining weight, fear of aging, fear of failing, fear of being invisible. And the market loves that, because those who truly love themselves don't consume. Since childhood you were told, you need to improve, you need to do more, you need to become someone. And when you finally do, they change the standard. You lose weight, but the ideal body has already shifted. You make money, but now you have to look rich. You evolve, but still feel like a fraud. Why? Because you're not the problem. You're the product. Debord described this condition perfectly. The real consumer has become a consumer of illusions. You're trapped in a loop. Never enough, always reaching for the next illusion. They don't sell self-esteem. They sell insecurity disguised as solutions. You buy the clothes, the courses, the supplements, the lifestyle, hoping that someday you'll finally feel whole. But that day never comes, because if you accepted yourself, they'd lose you. You think you're anxious because of life, but anxiety was designed. They created a world where you can never stop, never fail, never rest. You live in a constant state of alert. Because that's how you consume more. Guy Debord captured this in one brutal sentence. The spectacle is the bad dream of a modern society in chains. And that dream keeps you chasing. They bombard you with pressure and then sell you calm. suffocate you with demands, and offer quick therapy. They create the wound, then sell the bandage with glitter. This society doesn't want you healed. It wants you functional. It doesn't matter if you're okay. It matters if you're productive, smiling, and holding your credit card. You don't know who you are anymore. You only know what you need to look like. Your self was shaped by slogans, filters, and trends. You believe you're building an identity, but you're just collecting masks. Debord wrote, individual reality is allowed to appear only if it is not actually real. Your existence is tolerated only as performance. What is truly yours? Your laughter? Your desire? Your opinion? Or was it all absorbed from the outside and recycled, repackaged, polished? You live afraid to disappoint, afraid to stand out, afraid to be rejected. So you adapt. Stay quiet, smile, be pleasant, be marketable. But deep down, no one loves the character. They only love the role. And then one day, you get tired of pretending, running, conforming. You look around and don't recognize yourself. Everything you are seems manufactured. You realize you got lost trying to please a world that never truly accepted you. Guy Debord described this distortion as a world where the true is a moment of the false. You've been living a truth built on lies. Truth hurts, but it sets you free. You start rejecting the standards, questioning the desires, doubting the promise of instant happiness. You realize the pain of being yourself is smaller than the pain of continuing the performance. And in that moment, something starts to be born. A version of you that's less polished, maybe less popular, less perfect, but finally real. And learning hurts, but it's the only way to remember who you were before the world taught you to hate yourself. You start to silence the noise out there, to hear what survived in here. You begin saying no, pulling away, disappointing those who expected you to be someone you never wanted to be. And each refusal feels like a step out of the cage. As Debord said, the spectacle presents itself as society itself. But now you see, that society is an illusion, and stepping out of it feels like waking up. There is life outside the stage. There is value beyond applause. There is peace beyond performance. And when you start to live that, eyes will still judge you, but for the first time, you won't apologize for existing. You called it self-esteem, but it was really just a desperate need to be accepted, to be loved, to be seen. You called it self-confidence, but it was just fear disguised as strength. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of being worthless. Guy Debord wrote, the spectacle is the flip side of money, a pseudo-use of life. And that's what they sold you, a counterfeit life, dressed as freedom. The truth, they taught you to hate yourself. And you thought you were loving yourself because you did everything right, because you followed every command. But self-love doesn't look like obedience. Self-love begins when you disobey. When you say, I accept myself, even if no one else does.